What if Spider-Man was in Young Justice Part 12? So, last time I left off, last part was a year ago. A whole year ago. And a part of me wanted to just leave the Young Justice what ifs in the past and never really finish them. Because I kind of forgot all about them and I was kind of rebooting and just making new what ifs and keeping those in. Like everything from 2024, every what if I made about a month before 2024 New Year's was a what ifs I was going to finish and then start up other new what ifs. Now, I'm going to start about 3 new what ifs. Tatsume what if from Agami Ga Kill. I'm going to be doing a commentary, on my commentary part of my channel. I'm going to be asking you guys, do you want to see a Agami Ga Kill what if? Because I think I've made ones in the past or either made drafts and I never posted them on my page because I probably lost them on my old phone before I went to iPhone when I was recording my videos, I think, throughout 2023. So, basically, yeah, so enough of my little talking and nabbing on. You guys wanted to see this what if in the series continue, and I'm going to be bringing back and finishing all my Young Justice what ifs. So, hope you guys enjoy, and let's just dive right into this fanfiction. Last time I left off was I think about episode 4, season 2 of Young Justice, and we're going to be continuing with episode 5 of Young Justice. We start off the story with, well, Jaime Reyes, as he would have woken up, basically being called in for his friend, as his friend would have been exposed to some sort of, experience. Him having some sort of power now, as he is confused, and so is Jaime's. As Jaime's kind of tells him to chop and chill, and just tells him he'll be there any second. As he gets ready, and Jaime's flies off with his scarab. As his friend starts to get really pressed as he walks away, as he's taken by somebody. As we get switched to Peter. As Peter would have been swinging around the city at night, as he would have bumped into Jaimes in the sky. As Jaimes would have told him, "What are you doing here, Peter?" As Peter said, "I'm doing night patrol." "What about you, Jaimes?" As Jaimes says, "Fine, you can help me. It's to stay away." As he would have flew down there, as Peter would have followed him, trying to figure out what was going on. As he would have looked around, being from the back, and staying his distance. As he eventually would have came down, and basically taken off his superhero suit, having some sort of jeans and, an outfit nearby, as this would be the building he normally actually, comes by to get changed after patrol. So Peter would have had his suit off and everything, him just going and patrolling with Jaimes for the part of this story. Now we get switched to space. Now, this part of the story doesn't really change much because none of the other, pretty much, let's just say, Spider-Man heroes or villains are pretty much brought into this part of the story. Nothing really changes too much on this part of the story with them. So, and with Batgirl, Bumblebee, and, pretty much, I forgot her name, Megan, yeah, Martian Girl. Nothing in the story really changes too much. Her story doesn't really change too much. Them going against the Clean Ambassador, nothing changes. Nothing really changes in this continuity. So, nothing too much happened. So, let's skip over this part of the story. But we see Jaimes come to the door looking for, Times. That's his name, Times. I think I'm just going to pronounce it Times. As he's accompanied by Peter. As Peter is in a a blue hoodie and red jeans with some Converse. So basically what happened, he doesn't have that much drip in this continuity, but what happened is pretty much they just start to talk and ask what's going on with him and what's, happening. As they ask this, as everything's going pretty smoothly, but not too smoothly, as her house is all really messed up, janky, and it seems like there's something gone down here. As he asks where he is and have you seen him around, as she explains that she hasn't really seen him that much, and he should have been here a while ago. As Jaime is kind of confused, saying, "He called me last night and I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen him and I think he's in trouble." As we get switched away from this story, as everything in this conversation goes similar, the same, Peter staying somewhat quiet, as he would have chimed in, sometimes asking a little bit more questions, him pulling a little bit of detective skills, but him eventually gaining a lead after Jaime would have pressed for some information from the guy that would have came home. Jaime's or his friend's father, as he would have basically pressed towards Jaime's and Peter, especially, saying to leave now, as he would have gotten kind of physical with Jaime's, trying to get on him, as Peter would have stepped in before the scared could do anything, pushing him off of him, telling him to stay away from a child, as they would have walked away, as they would have closed the door, as he would have started to look for, well, his friend. Right, his name's Ty. The kid's Ty. His friend, Jaime's friend's name is Ty. So basically, his father, they learned about his father was like hitting on him or like fighting on him or almost fighting with him or had an argument with him, and Ty ran off like always, something in the words of his father and things like that. Or not his father, but I guess his stepfather. I don't know. But what happened is, well, Peter would just left, as he said he had some he had some problems with stepdads like that in the past, as he would have walked off, as they would have started to try to go in with their investigation, as Peter wanted to help Jaimes with the situation, as he had nothing really big going on in the city for him at the time, since Electro and Green Goblin were off the radar, and he hasn't been able to contact or find Daredevil in a bit. As what happened as well, so basically Peter asked him that what's going on with that guy, as the wife says that Maurice has bad days, as Peter says he seems to have a lot of bad days. I've heard around the block. As Peter for a time did live around here, but he did move into a more janky apartment in the city to get more close to the crime. But yeah, to take down the city and blah blah blah, stuff like that. But what happened is, well, Peter would have just scoffed off. Basically, Jaime saying, "Are you serious right now?" As he would have pressed her a little bit, but her saying that he has good days too. But Ty's probably over at his grandmother's house. He stays there sometimes, as she stutters a little bit, but she walks back into the house. As Peter obviously sees that it's some sort of thing going on about an abusive home, as Peter's kind of pissed off by this, as he's came across abusive stepfathers and abusive husbands, and he's came across this type of situation in his real world, and he's just sick and tired of seeing it. But Peter is slowly calmed down and swayed by Jaimes, as Jaimes says that he feels the same way, but it's her choice, and she's the one that's staying here. She has all the power in the world. As Peter discussed it, saying, not everybody does, Jaimes. Not everybody is like us. As they would have had a little bit of a heart-to-heart in that moment. As what happened is, after that, they would have been walking and trying to figure out what was going on with Ty. They go to, Ty's grandfather, Mr. Longshadow, as they ask him a little bit, as Petey just stays quiet because he doesn't know a lot of these people. As basically he's kind of confused because he seems familiar. Mr. Longshadow in his universe actually existed, and in his universe, Mr. Longshadow was a guy he seeked wisdom from when he was doing some crusades with his version of Doctor Strange. As Mr. Longshadow was a sorcerer in his world, and basically taught him some skills and told him to grow, and he'll suddenly find his destiny and his role in the worlds beyond worlds. As Peter would be kind of confused. But in this continuity, Peter just stays quiet majority of the time. Same conversation goes. Mr. Longshadow says that Ty is probably on a adventure from his heritage, trying to learn his path, and blah blah blah, saying that Maurice, Ty's mom's boyfriend, Ty's mom's boyfriend, Maurice was jealous of Ty's father, blah blah. Now he's jealous of Ty, stuff like that. Basically just small information they needed. But honestly, the main thing is they just learned that he was on a journey, and also that Jaimes would find the answers that he seeks when they come to him by the one that was inside you. As the Scarab kind of tells him he knows too much, and he's jokingly trying to kill him, but Jaimes just shuts out immediately and walks away, as Peter says, "Have a good day, sir," as he walks away. But he's stopped by the man, as Jaimes looks back, as Peter's confused, saying, "What is it, Mr. Longshadow?" As Mr. Longshadow says, "I sense a great level of torment. Soon in the future, you will find pain and rage beyond. You will go into deep depression. Deep deception. Well, not deep deception, but deep darkness." He didn't use depression, but you get the gist. Deep darkness, and you will be pushed to your limit. You will have to make a choice, and a devious choice at that. for someone you love. You will lose someone you care about more than you could possibly imagine. Izuku's not Deku. I've just got done doing nothing but Izuku what ifs or Deku what ifs, so I'm sorry guys if I'm messing it up. It's been a long time since I've done a Young Justice what if, so Spidey or Peter would have been kind of confused, saying, "What do you mean?" As he says, "That's all I know, but your future holds a lot of weight to it, and you might have to carry a burden no one else could possibly imagine." As Peter's confused, but he's stopped by Jaime as he's told to let's keep going, as Mr. Longshadow sips his drink, telling him to always and never forget who you are, as that will save you from your dormant. That will save you from your darkness. As Peter is kind of confused, but he just walks off, thinking it's some mumbo jumbo, as he walks away. As what would happen is, well, Peter and Jaime go on their next journey to try to figure out more about what's going on with Tai and where is he. The next, little thing. As pretty much, goes over to Maurice's place as he tries to figure out what was going on and where is Tai. As Maurice tries to fight, not Miguel, but Jaime tries to stop himself from using his energy blaster. As pretty much Miguel is kind of confronted by Jaime, as Miguel just laughs it off, saying, "I had nothing to do with that little kid, disappearing in bull." As Jaime doesn't buy it, as he tries to get past him, basically getting pushed onto the ground, about to go off again, because the Scarab's really not going to let him get bodied like that. But Peter jumps in, drop kicking, down to the ground, knocking him out cold. As he opens the seeing that it's just pirated DVDs and just video games and stuff like that. As Jaime just says, "Really? That's it?" As basically Peter closes it back up, saying, we should call the police on this guy for the pirated DVDs and games. But other than that, he'll get what he's coming for him." As he walks off, as they walk off at a dead end, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with him. And where in the heck is Tai? As we get switched away from that story. Now, episode 5 would end it off there because majority of the episode is mainly about the whole Queen Bee, girl power type of part of the story. And that never really interested me because the big gist of it was, the only big thing that came out of it is the whole kids being trafficked part of the story was pretty much came to fruition throughout that episode. So I wanted to finish the series. I'm going to be continuing off with episode 6. Switch to Mount Justice. February 28th, as we would have seen Nightwing, Robin, and Beast Boy just chilling up in the mansion, or chilling up in the Mount Justice. As it would have been just chilling. I guess we would have been switched to Peter actually being here as well, as Peter would have been pretty much chilling with the team as well. Basically, Nightwing doing some reconnaissance of the alien technology and blah, 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 trying to figure out what they were doing exactly. Now it was switched. They would have been hit with some sort of radioactivity happening, as a type of machine would have shown up out of the blue, as it would have been some sort of storm, as this machine would have appeared being some sort of time machine, as a kid in white and red outfit would have popped out, basically telling everybody that he's a speedster by just running around using his super speed, as pretty much everybody would have tried to attack him, as he would have basically just started to talk to everybody and basically just started to, I guess, joke around, as Peter would have had experience with speedsters going up against people like Speed Demon and also people like Kid Flash in type of pretty much simulations or simulations with him when they were doing fighting each other when they were kids. Now Peter would have basically tried to fight this guy, but he would be too fast, as everybody would kind of be confused by this guy. But them trying to take him out, as they would have tried to question him after that whole chasing around Mount Justice, trying to take him out, basically them failing somewhat, as Nightwing had to jump in with a quick one, and also Peter as well, webbing the floor, making Impulse stick to the floor. So basically Impulse would have kind of started to talk about how Spider-Man, the ace T hero in the future, you're the last one that was standing. As basically, Impulse has a type of respect for Peter, as Peter in the future is one of the last and most brutal heroes in the future. As something changed him in this timeline. Something changed him, and this is a part of why he's back to save the future. But also at the same time, he didn't explain that, but it's also at the same time for him, he's also here to, well, save Peter. Because Peter in this timeline, something happened, something changed him, something rewrote him, made him dark, made him sinister, made him who he isn't. It made him a monster. Now, what would happen is Peter would have had looks from Impulse being kind of confused by him. Now, Peter would have not been a villain, but his type of, funniness, his humor would have been long gone in the time period Impulse knows him from. Now, what would happen is, well, we would get switched to Speedy and, well, I guess Cat's type of adventure in the North Pole or in the Pole as some sort of Japanese or some sort of village or something like that. Now, that story doesn't really apply to Peter's story or back story or anything like that in his continuity or his story. So basically what happened is, well, Impulse would have ran away from the team, basically doing his thing. So nothing really changed too much because this is more of Impulse's episode and them introducing him alongside everybody else. Now with this thing going on, basically majority episode is Impulse. Nothing really changes too much. And the other story I was talking about, nothing really changes. So with Impulse's whole story and going against this big bad, basically what happened is, well, what happened is Peter would have gone on his own mission. And this is where we're going to get really into the Peter story. Let's get into it. So what happened is, well, Peter would have been pushed to go on another mission. Late that night, Peter would have been patrolling the city, not Star City, but patrolling the city, as he would eventually get caught up with Daredevil again. As he would have stopped some crime and some lower top thugs with Daredevil trying to start a conversation with him. As Daredevil would have said, it's been a long time, but I'm not really looking to have a partner. As he would have walked away. As Peter would have said, I'm not looking for a partner, I'm just looking for someone to team up with. There's been a little bit of crime lately on the docks, and I wanted to check it out with you. Maybe you could help me? As, well, Murdock or Daredevil has been feeling and has been hearing some crime on the radio lately about some trafficking that's happening on the docks. As they go investigate together, as they come towards a dock area, as Peter sees Electro from afar. As Peter gets up and, well, Daredevil tells him to stop, as last time he faced against Electro, he heard that you didn't do so well. As Deku just scoffed. Peter! Jesus Christ! Peter! Peter would have scoffed it off, saying, I got this. As Daredevil would have told him to stop and to look and situate this scenario. As Daredevil would have used his echolocation to sense everybody around the dock area, trying to figure out where everybody was before they stepped in. There was about 6 people around the perimeter and about 20 to 16 people in the shipping containments, and they were all somewhat asleep, judging on their heartbeats. As Spider-Man would have said, that's super cool what you can do. As him not really remembering too much about his universe as Daredevil, but knowing that he was a very good fighter, and taught him a little bit about self-awareness. But Peter's all forgot majority of that over the years. But now he's really starting to get more into his roots. Now, what happened is, well, they would have jumped in, doing some more stealth type of mission. As, well, he would have gone to his stealth suit. Peter would have gone to his stealth suit, as they would have gone deep into fighting. As Peter would have been wiping up some criminals to the wall, taking them out slowly and surely. But eventually, they would have been spotted by about 2 thugs that were not on the ground and basically weren't making any type of noise, staying out of Daredevil's radar. As Daredevil would have been kind of shocked by this, but him throwing 2 batons toward them before they can yell anymore, but it would be too late. As Electro would have caught where they were, as they would have been pretty much bum rushed by some sort of, well, empty container ship thrown at them, as Daredevil would have been kicked out of the way, Peter taking the full hit into the ocean near the docks. As Peter would have swam out there, whipping himself back onto the docks, looking upwards, seeing some guy literally run, I mean literally barrel towards him. As pretty much Peter dodges out the way as fast as possible, Spider-Man getting grabbed by the ankle, getting thrown back into the wood of the dock area, him about to get pummeled down to the ground. As he would have webbed himself out of the way, getting to a fighting stance, as Daredevil would have focused on trying to fight Electro. Him using his hearing to basically sense and navigate around the electricity like it was nothing. As he was started to dodge and weave around the electricity and lightning pretty very quickly, as eventually he would have been shocked a few times, throwing himself off his balance and also off his sensitivity, because his senses are on the charts, especially if he's absorbing or taking bolts of lightning. He's gonna feel a lot more pain, as he's literally like tapped out halfway through this fight, as he's trying to figure out a way to take down Electro pretty quickly, as he thinks about back to science class, as he knows it's something he could do, maybe something that can disorientate Electro. As what would happen is they would start to run around the dock area trying to take advantage of what's going on, as he would have seen some sort of cement tank area or around the dock area, as he would have started to run around, as they would be making some sort of cement, I guess, sidewalk near the docks, as he would have started to run, eventually jumping over the cement trunk using his batons as hard as he can, making one of the pins fall off, making the cement fall on top of Electro, as Electro would have been following him on foot, stupidly, for plot. But basically him being submerged in the concrete into the water, him being pretty much weighted down by the concrete and the water, him unable to use his electricity, as he would have gotten out of the water, trying to swim out, but Daredevil throwing a baton straight towards Electro's forehead, knocking him out cold, as Daredevil would have taken down Electro, as he would have grabbed him out of the water, throwing him into the ground, and basically pretty much wrapping him up in some wrapping him up in some rope and stuff like that, calling the police shortly after to make sure they can handle him better. As I would have looked up, as we was in that, Spidey would have been dodging and weaving these attacks with this big burly dude, as we would have shown this big burly dude would have been Universe's version of Rhino, as Deck would have noticed the horn and everything else about his suit, basically saying, oh shit, it's you, as he would have started to dodge out the way, as a guy would have said, I don't know you, kid, as he would have started to punch and weave towards Peter, as Peter would have started to dodge and jump out of the way, saying, I'm not a kid, as he would have webbed up the guy's face, pretty much jumping towards him and knocking the dust out of his mouth, but the guy not being able to tuck her out yet, as he would have thrown more crates of pretty much wood towards Peter, as Peter would have been dodging majority of them, but one of them would have hit him, thrown him off his balance into more crates, almost knocking Peter out, as Peter was about to get back up, being kind of soared out, but Daredevil jumping in, using his batons to disorientate and basically throw it into Rhino. Jesus, Rhino's eyes. Fudge, man, I can't talk. But basically disorientating him a little bit for Peter and Daredevil to jump in to do one big strong punch towards Rhino's forehead, knocking Rhino a little bit off his balance. Pretty much Peter using his webs behind him to make a trip so Rhino would fall into the water. Rhino being too dense to swim, as he would have been drowning, as Peter would have webbed some web to him, keeping him up on the water, telling him you might not want to pull towards the web too much, or else the wood will break and you'll start sinking again. So I'm pretty sure you might want to stay there before the police show up, or stay there until the police show up that can get you out there before you start to, I don't know, drown. As he would have walked away, Rhino being scared a little bit. As what happened is Peter would have been jokingly talking about what type of pies we have in the oven, as he would have looked towards the crate, as Daredevil said that's not funny, as he would have opened up the crate, seeing a bunch of kids in some sort of tubes, saying that it isn't good. What's going on here? As Peter would have said, I guess it's trafficking? As we would have ended up here, guys. So, basically, part 13 is going to be a lot longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces. And also, before I go, what other Spider-Man character should I introduce in the next part? See you guys later. Deuces.